Hi everyone, and welcome back to the bar at House Cannith, where my freshly arrived at the cap dwarf, Grapham, appropriately named for a tank Glassjaw, is refreshing himself after some tough and bloody questing. I just wanted to take a moment, as mentioned before, because I think you might have seen him in the last video leveling, and I mentioned what my hopes were for the build and what the goals were. Basically, we've only got one tank in our little group, a warlock tank, who's been doing very well for us, and I wanted to make a substitute, a paladin, using the con as the main stat, so con to damage, which meant a heavy investment in the dwarf tree. So that's what I've done. I guess it's not optimal by any stretch of the imagination, but it's been fun, and I think it'll be okay for our purposes. So I just wanted to take you through what I've done and explain a little bit of the engaging decisions, because there's basically, with this kind of thing, a tank that does some damage, or a damage dealer that does some tanking, you've always got the balancing act, haven't you, between attack and defense, and how far to go on each. You're always making these engaging decisions, especially with this one not having too many past lives behind him. I was thinking that when the level cap goes up later on in the year to 36, that's going to give him another 8 epic points to play with. Now, unless they add some more stuff in those epic trees, the many life characters are going to start running out of useful extra things to add. But a character like this, it could translate to something like 12 double strike, or something equally helpful. So I'll look forward to that. Let's get stuck in then to the nuts and bolts of it. So stats wise, my plan, as I mentioned, was to use con to damage, so con is the main one. Not mega high, considering that's supposed to be a tank, but he does manage to reach, what does he get to? 98 in Reaper, when these glasses are really excellent. I mean, they're best in slot for many a melee anyway. But when that blood rage goes off, as far as I can tell, it gives you 8 con. So that's four extra damage to us, 4 on our 2 most used tactic DCs. And what else is that giving? Of course, another load of hit points to help our tanky side. So that's just amazing when that happens. So yeah, 98 isn't terrible. But I've done the best I could with the con. Strength, as that's still being used to hit, I've pushed that up as well, as best as I could with the gear. And charisma, as that's for our saves with the, what's it called, divine grace, is it, for the paladin, and also our trance. So those are the 3 main ones. Of course, I wanted a bit of dex for reflex save and a bit of whiz for the will save. Not done too badly on those. Got a bit more reflex in Reaper. He has about 30 odd Reaper points, so nothing amazing. I mean, that's something else as well. He can solo the softer legendary stuff on Reaper 4 relatively comfortably, which an out and out tank certainly couldn't. So that's a nice thing too. So he's kind of equivalent to the Warlock. If any of you saw the Purple Warlock series, that one could solo the softer stuff reasonably well. Differences, I would say that when he's not backed up by anybody else, this one is more vulnerable because he's relying on positive healing, which is obviously heavily nerfed the higher up you go in Reaper. Whereas the Warlock, to a degree, with all that temporary hit point goodness they have, they just laugh at the Reaper nerf, as long as the incoming damage doesn't outstrip your ability to renew those temp hit points. Skills, I've got some balance, concentration for doing scrolls when under fire. So stuff like resurrecting dead party members, that kind of thing. Now, I must remember at the moment I've got the epic quiver of alacrity. We mentioned this in a previous recording, didn't we? That minus 50 concentration. So whenever he's grouping, he should get rid of that so that if the need arises, he can cast this scroll on somebody. Heal, obviously. Intimidate, obviously. Now, my intimidate isn't amazing, but when I use prayer to boost up the skills, oh, I can't do it in a public area, but it goes from 89, which looks a bit sus, to 95, I think it is, which is, again, not amazing, but it should work for most things, I think, most situations. And some UMD. Okay, feats. So a real mix of attack and defense. He's got the whole line of the shield mastery, along with two-handed fighting and two-handed speciality. So he's got the strike through and the a bit more melee power from the two-handed fighting, plus the shield side, the PRR and MRR, and obviously the heroic durability, the hit points that go with the full shield line. Defeat warding, and he's also got the dark gift form of pain, which is like a defeat warding version 2 if you haven't tried that from Lamordia. I haven't picked up the higher version of that yet because I've only just got to the cap. I think the higher version just adds, is it 10 PRR and MRR? So we've got that to come. As I mentioned, engaging choices all along the leveling process. You can see some defensive ones. That's in obviously to take advantage of the 10 extra PRR in Sentinel tree, which is his main tree. Damage reduction. Aim, because strength is not our main stat here, but we are using it to hit. So I'm struggling a little bit, but hopefully it's not too bad. With the trance that we've got to help us with the to hit as well, I'm seeing numbers in the late hundreds. I've seen. I suppose it depends on if it's stunned or not. He does have a couple of abilities that can render things helpless, which would seriously boost up the attack roll, wouldn't it? But I think for a tanky type, something attack rolls in the 160s, 170s are not terrible, I don't think. So we've got some concessions to offense: overwhelming crit, patience, eerie aim. But the legendary one, I took a more defensive one. Hit points, positive power, and positive crit. So basically for the constantly being spammed renewal. Although consecration heal, that it should help that too, I hope. I've experimented with various epic strikes. I'll go into that when I get into the epic trees, but I've settled on this consecration from Crusader for the moment. Epic past lives, I've mentioned this in the past. Just taken 3 of each of these to try and help him along. So we've got healing amp there. We've got 6 attack and damage from the ancient power because he is wielding a two-handed weapon. We've gone with the dwarven war axe and shield build here. Double strike, 9 double strike, and 3 attack and damage. And of course the 6 double strike from Aasimar Scourge. Iconic. I think that's about it on the feat side. Oh, improved shield bash. 20 more on the shield bash. I haven't really done too much with that. We could have taken some more in the Divine Crusader tree, but it's not something I've focused too much on. Precision, again, to help the to hit. And quicken spell, obviously, for our renewal. I think that's about it on the feat side. Oh, sovereignty is great for removing, well, full heal to full unless you're playing on a really high Reaper level, and removing all sorts of ability damages and situations, even death penalties, I think it removes. So very handy to have on a 10-minute cooldown. So that's the feats. Right, heroic enhancements. Now this is where I had to make some concessions. Ideally, with this type of build, you want 31 in Sacred Defender for this excellent 5th core. Healing Amp, extra lay on hands, Sacred bonus to max hit points, PRR and MRR. I couldn't, I contemplated it. I thought, what if I take everything out of Vistani? I still couldn't get to where I need to be. This is the effect of spending the, well, I needed to spend 18, I think, in here. We need to have 15 to get to that. So, yeah, we need minimum 18 to have con to damage. So if, like me, you have a very low amount of racial points, the only way you can do it is to sacrifice some in the Sacred Defender, which is what I've done. Just got the bare minimum for the Sacred Defense stance, the con, extra con while it's going, and the extra PRR and MRR. That's quite nice too. More dodge chance that translates to, and a couple of extra hands, so well spent points in there. Vistani, we've got deflect missile from the 2nd core. Could have taken it from here for missile shield, but I decided in the end, with the points being so scarce, not to invest anything in Vanguard. This would have been a source of attack speed for us as well, and secondary shield bashes, as you can see there. But the higher up the cores you go, combat style bonuses to attack speed. So definitely when I'm not using the haste boost from Vistani, I do attack like a slug. That's unfortunate, but hey ho. So we got some nice defensive boosts here as well, and 5 double strike from the 3rd core, which is a popular choice. So what do we get for our 19 in the dwarf tree? Well, we get a load of nice stuff in the cores here, 30 hit points and another 2 con, which translates to probably another 30 hit points, is it? 3 on tactics. I've been borderline for the tactics. What tactics are we using? We're using the shield throw from Sentinel, which I can't see a DC there, unfortunately, but I guess it's around the 100 mark. Consecration. Now, 88 is without the trance, and we do get a little bit more in Reaper. I could just put the trance on to show you, and we're up over the 100 mark. So it does make a nice difference. That one, 96, I think that's, oh, that, because that's using the charisma mod, not our highest stat, which is obviously the con. So that's why that one is a bit lower. This one and the shield throw both use the highest stat, which is con, so that's handier for us. So yeah, tactics, investment, and then just all the way up this line here for the axe training. I would have happily skipped on these if I could have just got this, but you can't. So we've got Dwarven War Axe as favoured weapon, very important for our build. And then we've got, is that, no, that's not important, it's this one that's important, but you have to go all the way up to get the important things. So the very last one is the con to damage with the axes. If I had a load of racial points already, I could and would have invested in the dwarven dragon mark to get the excellent radiant force field spell-like ability, and for sure an out-and-out tank would have done that, and would also have 31 points in the Sacred Defender tree. So my last tank that was just a pure tank, we didn't have any of this kind of stuff going on. We had the Radiant Force Field plus 31 in here for the the goodness that that brings. Knight of the Chalice, our concession to offense, but the one I've landed on there is a nice defensive one as well. Immunity to energy drain is very strong. When you're surrounded by, like, let's say in the Dryad and the Demigod, those horses that regularly take your death ward away and then start doing drains, it can be painful. Our Warlock tanks had some issues with that, so hopefully this one won't experience that. I've put 3 more Sunder DCs in to try and help both our Holy Retribution and Consecration, because those both go off Sunder. More Smite, our Trans, a bit more on the crit side, more hit and damage with or without favoured weapons, just all along that line. A nice little boost of fort bypass as well up at the top between that and our gear and our precision. We're not doing too bad on fort bypass. This line is quite nice because it helps you to, albeit you can't do it to order, but you can stun Reapers, which just takes the sting out of those being in your face. Amazing boost to healing amp up here. This one I've tried to like, doesn't seem to do too much for me, but I keep throwing it in. Unlike last time when I did Paladin at the cap, I don't have what's the one everybody uses, Quick Cutter. So we're looking for other sources of AoE, albeit our just swinging our weapon is AoE with a two-hander with a strike through. I think we have about 200 strike through, so we're usually hitting 3 targets a time if we can hit 3 in front of us. And the Holy Retribution, which I've just mentioned. One of the very nice aspects of this is it recharges a smite charge to you as well. Holy Smite or Exalted Smite, very expensive to get, but adds 2 on crit threat range and damage multiplier. Our threat range is pretty rubbish with the Dwarven War Axe, 19 to 20. With Holy Sword, that becomes 18 to 20. So a 16 to 20 is nicer, especially when we consider that our shield has the guard breaking and really likes it when we crit to trigger that. So anything that can widen our crit profile is desirable. Anything I missed? No, I don't think so. Okay, so into the epics, and this is where the engaging choices really started. I tried to start with going all the way up here in Dreadnought. Of course, Sentinel is the main tree for a tanky one. I've had to make a couple of little compromises. I would have liked the spell-like ability Resurrection, so I'm not relying on scrolls, but didn't get that. Couldn't do anything with the hands. Again, I would have, if I'd have had more points, I could have considered doing that. But I've settled for the bare bones. We've got the epic strike, which triggers the, what's it called now, battle guard, isn't it? It should be written in there somewhere. Yeah, towards the bottom. And the good thing about this on our build, as we have strike through, we can hit several targets with it, and I think it accounts for that in that. So you can stack maybe 3, maybe even 4 battle guard at the same time. Hitting that when you've got a shield equipped, which we do, provided you hit, and you've got a very good chance to hit because it gives you a bonus to hit there, you get 2 stacks instead of the 1. Even if you miss when you've got a shield equipped, you get 1 stack added. So as I demonstrated in a previous recording, quite easy to stack 5 of these, and very advantageous in an end boss fight. I guess there's a decision usually to be made because I have 2 epic strikes. As you can see, I have the Consecrate and I have Celestial Mandate. If healing and damage are coming from elsewhere, then I suppose I would always use this. But if I need to heal myself, like if I'm soloing and would appreciate the extra damage from Crusade, then I guess it's that instead of Mandate. Pretty self-explanatory choices in Sentinel. We've got the energy resist with the epic strike we've already mentioned, the things to do with the shield throw, which is awesome because it gives helpless as well as attracting all the attention. More PRR and double strike, more PRR, more absorb on our mantle, more hit points, more hit points, the go big epic moment, and more hit points. So pretty self-explanatory. That one's quite nice, the fourth core in there. When you drop into a nasty situation below 20% health, it can boost you back up again with a string of strong heals. So, Crusader, initially I'd only invested a bare minimum in this. My gear doesn't have too much on the fort side, so I've doubled up on fort in both here and here to get me to a reasonable level. Maybe not reasonable for a tank, but I did read recently that 200 plus was okay in most situations for a tank, so hopefully we'll be okay. Epic Strike, of course, it's expensive. You to invest 3 there, 4, 5, 6, 7 to make it work with the stun. But this is very nice. This 4-second stun when you trigger the consecrate. As far as I can tell, they've got to be in the AoE to start with. If things walk in afterwards, that doesn't work. But it's still quite nice when you're surrounded. You just pop that, you get a heal, they get stopped, and maybe trigger some of our AoE attacks there to try and get stuck in while they're stunned. The cores are nice too. We've got, of course, we've got melee power and hit points in all of these melee related destinies, but the weapons immune to durability damage I've always liked. Yes, Ooze, I'm looking at you. More defensive stats there. Sunder, should I? I'm so short of points. I could maybe have tried to pick up improve Sunder. Maybe that's something for the level 36 level cap when that comes along. See what we can do. I mean, we can definitely add 6 double strike there, another 6 here, depending on what we want to do. I've even had to miss the 6 PRR and MRR and always on shield. From there, I'm using a shield clickable instead, which feels a bit cheap, but I am sort of scrimping and scraping on points. A pure tank wouldn't have bothered with these extra smites, but they come in handy for me, and the smite regenerating quicker is helpful too, so I've stuck with that. This one in particular is a must take even on a tank, I think, for the healing element there every time you trigger a smite. I don't think if you hit more than one thing, I don't think it triggers more than once. I know there's a strike in one of the monk henshin tier 5s, I think, that if you hit more than one thing, you get more than one dose of heal, but I don't think that's the case with this. And here, I probably did the wrong thing. I put tactics before hit points. I should have taken an extra hit point thing there. But I seem to be sort of scrabbling for all the tactics I can find. In Reaper, when our glasses go off to give the extra con, I think I can get this to 111 save, which it's by no means great. Probably not even good, but it's a lot better than it was, trust me, before I started focusing on the Sunder DCs. Got another 6 Sunder DC in there, without which I think my investment on the Sunder side would look decidedly mediocre. So I thought it would be like all or nothing for that. So I'm just trying to make that work, and so far, at least in the softer legendary content, it's worked pretty well for me. So otherwise, in Dreadnought, we've got a nice dose of extra PRR there, hit points as I mentioned, more boosts, and I've sneaked a couple of extra in this one, which translates to a couple more dodge. Dodge between heroic and epic, I could have got it as high as 20 in heavy armor, which isn't bad. but I just don't have a way, it seems, to go above 14 on the actual dodge, so I don't have a way to reach that 20. I could have I could have got higher in Reaper. I could have reached the 20 in Reaper mode, I suppose. Maybe I could look at that, because for sure I could have restructured here and taken up to 9 extra dodge, which for sure would have got me up there. So maybe that's something I could look at in the future. So that's the epic, the gear. So more like a traditional melee, I guess, than a tank. But I have made one or two concessions to the defensive stats too, and the sun and moon augments are, I would say, maybe evenly split between attack and defense. So the weapon, I've gone for the one from Fire Over Moorgrave. We've got some nice things on there. The same as I had on the last paladin, the slow effect, identity crisis that on hit, which is nice. Slay living triggers occasionally, that's a little bonus. The fetters causing vulnerability is nice. And I have also got shattered device, as you can see at the bottom of the screen there, filigrees on, 4 of them. So between fetters and shattered device, I should open up the targets to taking a nice chunk of extra damage from whoever the main damage dealers are in our group. Amazing shield to go with it. Of course, the guard breaking side is no good against a boss, but against everything else, we're in pretty good shape there. We've got some shield bashing, the legendary conditioning for hit points, and the guard breaking all in one package, which is lovely. Boots, very standard on just about any character, pushing it a bit at the cap. That one collection of absorptions is amazing. And you can see on the slotted at the bottom there, we've got profane PRR. So I did my best to combine all the defenses, so PRR and MRR and healing amp, with the more offensive stuff, melee power, double strike, that kind of thing. These gloves I thought were very nice for our build. We've got the temperance of belief, so being as we're 20 paladin, we've got another 20 MRR from that. The strength of purpose isn't actually terrible on there. The unconscious range I don't think matters, because we have a undying sapphire, I think, in there, and I don't think they stack. But the little ticking heal thing sometimes can be quite helpful. If I've been knocked unconscious but not dead, as long as something doesn't come and maul me, that can sometimes pick me up. So, not terrible. But the main reason I took that was for the temperance of belief. Of course, this Lamordia stuff is so flexible. It's like Slaver's crafting version 2. And as you can see, I've put some nice things in the slots there as well to help us. Extra hit points and quality damage. Ring, very nice for our build. Amazing curse there for the build too. Extra hit points and AC. Quality con, force absorption, very nice. There aren't too many sources of that. And the neg absorption would have been practically useless in the times where Death Ward covered everything, but now I think that'll see some use too. So not terrible. That's our strength item. Ram's Might will give us a bit more damage. Some more double strike on here. I like the wind through the trees. Every now and again I just see a knockdown, and when it happens like on a big golem or something like that, you think, oh, where did that come from? It's quite nice to have. Of course, you can't decide when it happens, but the tendon slice I don't see too often, probably because our weapon already has a significant slow effect on it. So I think that's probably pretty much redundant. Another nice stacking item for the build. Extra MRR, extra hit points. Put some extra charisma and deception for sneak attacks. Now we get more of that than you would think, being as we're usually the target of the enemies, because both the shield throw and the upgraded consecrate, as far as I know, both of those stuns cause helpless, so sneak attack opportunities. Another super item for the build, a really strong con item. This we've slotted some 15 con, insightful 7, extra charisma for our trance, and insightful armor piercing. Just nice to have. Another strong one, the Crown of Summer, as I'm sure most of you will all know, really good, especially on a melee. So we've got melee power, we've got healing amp on there. The accuracy certainly doesn't hurt us. Seeker, armor piercing, great stuff. Glasses, probably the most essential item, more so for us, as I already explained, because that boost to con is also boosting damage as well as survivability, and it's also boosting some of our tactics. So when that triggers, which is often, that's really great. Now this one I made a slight mistake. I took it from the first Mythdrana box that I found, the only one I found so far from the Remnant Rush event, and I was hoping to be able to upgrade it reasonably straightforwardly using barrier fragments from in the Threats Old and New raid. But I've now realized that I also need a sigil of the Crown Blade from that raid, so I'm on the lookout for that at the moment. The reason I was so keen to have this, I mean, it looks good as is. Competence resistance, so stacking with everything else. So that's giving us, when we trigger our energy resist, quite a nice layer of defense there against the elements. Also the stacking heal amp there, we've got 45 heal amp, like what you'd get from a level 21 mysterious cloak, I guess. And the linguistics there isn't bad either. If we're mashing away on intimidate, that's pretty good to have too. Now the thing that would unlock with the upgrade would be the sister ability to this strength of purpose, the one that gives, sorry, to the temperance of belief, the one that gives the PRR. I can't quite, is it? I can't quite remember what it's called, temperance of something else, but it gives 20 PRR for our paladin levels. So one day I hope to unlock that. As far as I know, those sigils in the threats raid are passable in the chests. So I do try and mention when we get to the chest at the end that I'm looking for that. If anyone's kind enough to pass it, that would be awesome. This one, we've got an extremely fortunate curse on there, 2 sneak attack dice. Now, it's not something I've been prioritizing on the build, but we'll take it for a bit more damage in certain situations. The devotion and healing law are nice, but the biggest reason I put that there was the insightful sheltering. So an insight bonus to our PRR and MRR. And just for the cherry on the cake, we've got 3 more MRR from the Reaper bonus on there. So not bad at all. The ring is kind of a placeholder. I was hoping maybe during the course of this year that I might find a Autumn Equinox for him from the Mythdrana box. But thinking about it, I mean, he is getting a lot of positive crit damage. What's he getting there? 35% extra on there. So maybe it's I still think the Equinox might be better, just to get that that ticking acid damage over time. Would be a nice little lift to the damage he can do in general. Okay, and as mentioned, the epic quiver, just for a bit more sneak attack damage. I would of course have to remove it if grouping and wanting to do my scroll raising. I think that's about it. And if you've been looking at the sun and moon slots, you'll have noticed, as I mentioned, there's a mixture of offense and defense, we've got double strike, melee power, and PRR, MRR, heal amp. Heal amp, I've managed to reach a pretty respectable. You can see their strike through nearly 200. Where are we with the... Oh, heal amp, you've got to go on here, haven't you? So 381, that's pretty decent, I think, and that's without without being in either Asimar or human. That could have given us another 60 heal amp on top. The reason I'm not healing big numbers is I have only 400 and some positive spell power. So I would expect this to shine when backed up by any kind of a half-decent positive healer. So I would think he would do a lot better then. Having to heal himself, of course, with the Reaper nerf as well, it's not super ideal for a build like this. But I don't think that's too bad. Other things you might like to see, I suppose we should put these on to fully. I'm going to leave the character sheet open, not because I think any of it is particularly amazing, just because I'd like you to see the effects of some of the things that we do along the way. So the spell-wise, we do get some really nice and important ones. The Death Ward, Angel Skin, extra PRR and MRR, as you've just noticed there, that's got bumped up. So we sit around 400 before we start getting boosted up by other things in the quests. And the double strike 78 with the zeal bonus. So again, there's the potential in the epic trees for another 12 double strike, which would take him up to a pretty respectable 90. So that's something to look forward to when the level cap increases. Melee power for a tanky type, that's not terrible, I don't suppose. Bearing in mind he can go up another... He can go up to into the 300s by stacking the stacks of what's it called, Blessed Purpose. So that it stacks 25 times 3 extra melee each time. So yeah, so that would take us into the 300s for the melee power, but it does depend on what type of opponent we're against. Anything else to comment on there? I don't think so. The saves are reasonably respectable for a pretty low life character. I think we should take him into a quest and show you. So the one I have earmarked for today is the Canith one here. Now, for most of the lower legendary content, of which this is certainly one, he can manage just fine on Reaper 4. 6 is more of a challenge, but I want to show you that he can be quite robust too. I want to keep the stat window open to see this, so you can see we're starting. It's not by any means amazing. I have missed 30 PRR from the Sun and Moon augments. I didn't have one of the 30 MRR. I didn't have the MRR one, so I put something else in instead. But that aside, we should notice as he gets into combat, between the 2 copies of the defect warding style thing he's got, we should notice a nice boost up. And then if he starts doing the battle guard, hopefully we can get into the mid to high 400s on the PRR and maybe start pushing towards 300 MRR, which for a not an out and out tank isn't terrible, I don't think.
Reverberates from behind this door. It sounds like Eritrakos already found what he was looking for.
So we're going to try and keep prayer and our trance up at all times.
What I need for the ritual. Carver, stay here.
I'm going to try and demonstrate how nice the two big
Use the codex page
helpless strikes can be. Obviously the shield is used to attract attention, but can, in our situation, with only us in the quest, can also benefit from the helpless.
There's a pulse of magic, and suddenly living copies of the tiefling appear.
Let's try that now. So you can see we did a pretty decent job at thinning the field, and can you see how slow those are all going now? That's with the identity crisis thing on the weapon. So in an ideal world, the people with me would be making absolute mincemeat of those.
It's simple, says Carver. You help the devils, and we help the lords of dust.
So they're both on a reasonably long cooldown, the two sort of helpless things I've got. So I'm trying to make it so I always have one available for each group that we come to. So except there I took forever to get through, so the shield's back off cooldown again. I would switch between the shield and the you see there, that was the consecrate thing, and again they've been held in place nicely. Although we took a big smash there from somebody, maybe that crown at the back. That was one reason I preferred the consecrate to the epic strike in, is it called Lay Waste in Dreadnought? Because the consecrate also gives us some health back, of course. Let's try and get in the middle of these if we can. Now Reaper, if we get lucky, we could stun. I think we need to roll a 20 though. We obviously never did it. You can see the numbers down there, not terrible. We're in the high 100s for a proper melee or ranged. People would tell you that's not good enough, but for something like this, a sort of a hybrid, I think it's pretty acceptable. I don't think we'll be seeing too many glancing blows in these lower level quests. So you can see once we hit them, look how slow he's going. You just need to get that first shot in to kind of neutralize the target to a fairly big degree, as long as it's not a boss. And every time we crit, we've got that nice guard breaking going off that you can see. It's just a shame we don't have a wider crit profile. The last time I did this kind of thing, we were on a bastard sword build, which has a significantly wider profile than this does. So it was more suited, I think, to the guard breaking approach. And my barbarian, who... whoa, nice move. My barbarian, who currently uses the more cookery, that's got guard breaking too, and even wider profile, and that goes off all the time, so that's wonderful. Just try and show you the effect of battle guard. Oh, he died too soon. Okay. So Battle Guard, just to reiterate, it can stack up to 5 times, giving 10 PRR and MRR for each stack. It lasts for 12 seconds, and if you don't renew it in that time, it disappears and you lose all the stacks. That's how it works. So it's something particularly against an end boss, because this has a cooldown of 6 seconds. It's relatively easy to keep up, especially if you've got people behind you.
It takes magical energy to
people behind you
says
doing the
Carver.
heals and the damage, and you just have to focus on building up those stacks.
Lucky for me, I found this Carnith crystal.
Okay, next one, please. Shield for this lot. Of course, we are much more vulnerable than the Warlock would be to the Plague Reaper. The Warlock just basically laughs at the Plague Reaper, the tank Warlock, because his temp hit points are totally unaffected by it. I tell you what we're gonna do, Brian, if you're watching, we're gonna use the shrine. I'm kind of very much joined to my haste boost and double strike boost at the moment for a spiky boost to our damage output, particularly when we've got the opponents helpless for those first few seconds. It's important we try to take full advantage of that. Now, what to do here? Do we try and block the door? Oh! Pulling the lever might not be a bad idea, might it? Couldn't just go one quest without making a foul up, could I? That was a nice crit heal. Come on then, come to the door. I'm gonna block this door. Of course, the shrine refreshes all the smites as well, doesn't it? So well worth using there. We've got our haste back, all the smites back. Now these are a pain, they're not in a group. Oh, this is a big pain now. How are we going to deal with this? We're going to have to try and fritter these away without blowing up his lordship down there. Let's put some spell absorb on. Just tried to hit him a little bit to slow him down a bit. I don't know if it will be effective. Will you stop it with your silly circles? Okay. I have tried him in a couple of the... Oh, that's one thing I didn't mention. Let's just take a moment to mention this before I forget. I do have a couple of different shields I could swap to. I think sticking with the axe is okay, given that it inflicts vulnerability and we've got the shattered device in there as well. But it would be nice to have something different on the shield side of things, and I think I can achieve that. We've got, for any fire heavy quest like threats and fire over Moorgrave, we've got this alchemical one I made. So if you didn't know, you can have, with the alchemical crafting, you can have an always on fire shield cold there, which is awesome. And we've also got a little bit of extra con, and also the alchemical earth attunement, so attacks and offensive spells give that nice stacking acid damage over time. So that's quite a nice one to swap to, although we do lose our 15% legendary hit point bonus, but for the fire heavy quests, that's quite a nice one, I think. Against where there's just you against a boss, maybe this one, this palisade. I've got plans to change this. At the moment we've got the affirmation for the 1,000 temporary hit point trigger, which we can go off once a minute, it says there. I think a better one for that would be the is it legendary dust that takes away the opposing PRR, so he could sit there and do vulnerability minus PRR and then the shattered device as well, and really debuff a boss target quite nicely for the people behind him. So that's my plan for the future. I think it's going to cost me 20 barrier fragments to change that one. But for anything with multiple targets, I think this guard breaking shield is going to be hard to top. Particularly if you have a nicer crit threat range than I do.
I gotta go, but don't worry. We'll meet again.
What's that Reaper in the background? I should have seen that straight away. Carnage. Taken some big smacks from him, haven't we? Wow. Okay. So yes, I think definitely I should look to boost the dodge in Reaper. That's something I might have to pay attention to. Oh, that was pretty good. You saw some of them disappear there. That was the Holy Retribution. So you can see we can get to 99 on that. Still not amazing, but better than it was. And 111 on the Consecrate, which is pretty decent from where I was sitting. I could see that getting out of hand, so I chucked the shield in as well, which means I don't have one now for the next lot, which is a bit sad. We'll go with the Consecrate instead for you boys and girls. See, the famine got stunned. Oh, we got some nice Slayer triggers there. Slay living. That was the reason I went heavy armor instead of medium, by the way. The fact that I couldn't seem to get the dodge high enough to take advantage of whatever potential dodge bonus I might have. I think I need to revisit the dodge side of things, definitely. That was a nice stun with the... Oh, look at that. Yeah, that was good with the Consecrate. Okay, I'll try the shield with this next lot and stick in a couple of boosts. So we're not setting any speed records, but it's not too bad. That was the Fear Eater in the weapon, by the way. I didn't mention what's... Let's just take a moment to show you that. Standard augments, but very nice to have. Deconstructor for adamantine bypass, and also the destruction effect on hit, nice against bosses. And Fear Eater, nice for the trash. Every now and again you can just get something eliminated and that fancy blue spider effect comes up, like when you do a phantasmal killer, I think. So nice to have. That one comes from the Dryad and the Demigod raid, I think, so you can get that for raid runes from there. This one is from one of the Canith quests. I can't remember which one, but it's a bit of a pain to farm, but you can find it. It's not bound, so you can find it on the auction houses. There we go. I always have a bit of a dilemma in here. Do I go for the boxes for the box breaking bonus first? I think I'm going to. I got killed last time doing this.
I can make lots of copies for any. Now just imagine if I get inside the manufactory where they make these things. I would be an entire army in just a couple of
Now,
hours.
how badly are you going to hurt us, sir?
My only obstacle.
I should probably wait until I can hurt both him and the... Oh, the answer is quite badly. Let's try a Hood of Unrest against him. I did a crusade and then stepped outside of it because these Muppets wouldn't go in it. He's not hurting us too bad that we can't. I was thinking maybe I could perhaps run away if it gets too much. We do have some hands, but they don't do that well. But we do also have the unyielding thing, which might get used shortly. Oh, we've got Go Big, of course. Completely forgot about that. Now, the advantage of Go Big is it also increases, as far as I'm aware, offensive power. So it's a win-win in this situation, where we're actually trying to do damage as well as tank.
More, I say. Outflank them. The numbers are with us.
Oh, that was a nice one. I think we're going to get there. It hasn't been pretty, but we've got there.
The devils still threaten the city, but at least now you don't have to worry about an army of
so not too bad.
Poppies conquering Stormreach.
And as with the Warlock tank I tried in the past, I think one of the nice selling points of that approach over an out-and-out tank is you can do some, well, both the leveling and the end game, if you want to do a few Reaper points on your own, that kind of thing. It's just impossible with a standard tank that's not built for any kind of damage. So, particularly given that I'm not really inclined to go in raids above Legendary hard, unless the older ones, I think he'll be okay, just as is. I think the one change I would like to make, as I mentioned, I'd like to put some more dodge, maybe get him up towards 20 dodge and reach that in Reaper. I think we can do that and make him a little bit more survivable that way. 20 dodge in heavy armor is pretty decent, I think, so maybe I'll shoot for that in the fullness of time. Okay, I think that's about it. I think I've pretty much achieved the objective with this one, so I look forward to adventuring with my group mates and see if he can help them along the way too. Thanks very much as always for looking. Happy questing, and next time around I'll be looking into some ways to level as a trickster, I guess. I've seen plenty of them around. I saw a great crossbow version the other day, so I'll have to have a little think, see what fun ways to I can find to put some trickster lives on my caster druid who would appreciate some force and illusion DC. Okay, speak to you next time. Take care.